Welcome to Prepared for Parenthood, the podcast for hopeful, expectant, and new parents with little ones up to age 5. I'm your host, Dr. Stephanie Duger, a psychotherapist, author, educator, parent coach, and married mother of 2. On this show, we'll discuss everything from the most up-to-date practicals of best supporting your young children, to thriving in relationship as a family, to more surprising topics around the psychology and development of babies from conception through age 5. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. I'm thrilled to have you here today. Welcome back to Prepared for Parenthood. Our guest today is Kalee Isbell, the founder of Isbell Family Films, a company dedicated to helping families preserve the magic of their everyday moments through beautifully edited films. Her journey began in the midst of postpartum depression, where she found solace in editing home videos of her young children. As a mother, navigating the challenges of caring for a newborn, while feeling like she was falling short for her toddler, Kalee discovered an unexpected source of healing, seeing her family's story unfold on screen. Kalee is passionate about helping parents see themselves the same way their children do, loving, present, and enough. Through her work, she continues to bring joy and perspective to families, ensuring the most precious moments are cherished for generations to come. So welcome, Kalee. Super happy to have you here today.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here.
I know a lot of our listeners, they've experienced pre and perinatal mood disorders like prenatal anxiety, postpartum anxiety and depression, and other perinatal mood disorders. Would you be willing to share a little bit about your own experience with that?
Yeah, of course. So I got pregnant when I was 24 with my son, which looking back now, I think is a really important piece. I was young and my experience with him was pretty typical of what I expected to be. I had a little bit of anxiety before I gave birth to him. Afterwards, it was hard, but it was nothing like I think I had mentally prepared myself for in regards to developing postpartum depression or anxiety. Also, I think there was an element of I had a lot more support with my first than I did once I had my daughter because it's the first, everyone's excited, everyone's available. And we had a great newborn experience with him, great baby experience with him. We were like, we're the best parents ever. Let's do this again. And got pregnant when he was a year old. So my son and daughter are 20 months apart, which looking back, I would never do that again to myself, knowing what I know now of how hard it is to have 2 under 2, but did it anyway. And while I was pregnant with her, my husband changed jobs. So he went from being extremely available at the drop of a hat, could come home for lunch every day. We would go do things in the middle of the day with our son to just never home. And that was not by his choice or design. It's just the way it worked out. So he was gone from 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day, or 5 minutes commute to an hour commute. And so that rocked my world being pregnant. And also during that time, my son started to show signs of a developmental disorder that was making our lives really difficult. And then I gave birth to my daughter a month early and I love her to death, but she cried every second of every day. She had horrific reflux. She could never be put down, never slept. Turns out she had a milk protein allergy, which takes forever to find out because you have to breastfeed first, so that doesn't work. Okay, let's put her on soy, then let's put her on almond. And I was just drowning. I had no idea how to help her. I was so tired. I didn't sleep in that first 6 weeks, probably more than 30 minutes at a time, because by the time I would get her to sleep in the day, my son would be awake for the day and he stopped napping. I just had no break. And that was a really hard thing for me. I also just recognized about myself that I have a hard time asking for help. And so I was like, I'll do this. I can do this by myself. I can power through. This is fine. And I just really struggled in those first 6 months with her and with him, feeling like I made this huge mistake. I had brought this baby into the world who's miserable, right? And I felt bad for her. But then also I felt like I had ruined my son's life by bringing this baby into the world that just rocked his world because he lost all attention from me at that point because it was all I could do just to keep her calm every day. And the combination of just the general parental anxiety that we all experience, the general mom guilt and shame that we all experience, coupled with the lack of sleep and the lack of knowledge of how to help my kids, really just became too much.
And at what point did you realize that you needed just more support? Like,
Yeah.
how many weeks were you postpartum when that happened?
So I had perinatal anxiety with my son and with my daughter, started much sooner with my daughter. And so I was already on medication for that. And so by the time I went to that 6-week checkup with my doctor, and she was like, "How are you?" I was like, "Oh, yeah, it's fine." And I was already on medication. I didn't think I could ask for more or something different. And so I figured this was all I could do. I do remember there was one point where I took my daughter to the pediatrician for one of those reflux checkups to try to figure out what was wrong with her. And I must have been in a really distraught state. I don't really remember how I was presenting myself, but I do remember the doctor having the nurse take her out of the room and saying, "I need to give you something. What can I prescribe you? Can I give you some Xanax? Who's helping you?" She had to have been probably 4 months old at that point. And I was like, "Oh, no, I'm fine. I just need to go home. I just need to go home." And so I really don't think I recognized how truly out of my mind I was until I was out of it. And I was able to look back and say, wow, I really needed help. And we just didn't live with a lot of support. Our families were in other places. We did have some community support, but again, it was just my own deal of not asking for help. And I think too, when you're stuck in that, you start, at least for me, I started to feel like I was the only one who could help them. Like I was the only one who knew how to help her stop crying. I'm the only one who knew how my son was communicating that he needed things. And I just started to isolate myself in that way of, I'm the only one that can do this. No one can help. So yeah, it really wasn't until I was kind of the 20-foot look from above of, okay, yeah, that was really hard and I should have done something a lot sooner for myself.
And so you had all of these precipitating factors, right? Sounds like you just found out your son had a developmental disorder. Baby arrives a month earlier than you anticipated and is having eating challenges. It's really uncomfortable. Sounds like colicky and
Yeah.
having a hard time and really hard to soothe. And then lack of sleep and being isolated. So all those things can really coalesce to create the perfect storm for a mood disorder. And prior to being pregnant, had there ever been anything that showed up that you were like, oh, I'm a little more anxious or a little more on the depressive side than some of my friends seem or something like that?
No, I did have an anxiety disorder growing up, identified with being an anxious person my entire life. After many years of therapy, I don't consider myself an anxious person anymore. And I think that was what helped me identify that perinatal anxiety in my son. I was like, this is more than what I just as in my day-to-day anxious self. I need help with this. So no, it wasn't something that I was uneducated about or I was unaware of. I think it just got to the point of I was just hitting against a wall every single day and there was just no getting it. There was nothing anyone was going to say to try to get me separated from that. And I think it would have required like my husband to quit his job and be at home every single day, which is just not possible for most people and definitely wasn't possible for us in that time.
And for our listeners, it's important to just share so many people, so many mamas especially, but also partners and dads can have a perinatal mood disorder, right? It's very common and it tends to be exacerbated by things like lack of sleep, lack of support, things like that. And it's happening in your nervous system. So it's not something that most people can just think their way out of.
Right. Yeah.
But there are things that you can do. And I love what you found to do to help move yourself into this next phase where you're feeling better. Can you share about what you found that was really helpful?
Absolutely. I've always been a very creative person. I think part of being an anxious person makes you a creative person, right? Like you want to keep your mind and your hands busy. And I was taking videos of my kids and photos of my kids and finding ways to be creative in that. And my goal was always just to make a birthday video for them to show their growth through the year. And in my daughter's first 6 months, I was getting really anxious about making my son's second year video and then her first year video. And I wanted to do it sooner because I enjoyed the process so much. And then I had the thought to myself of why do I have to wait? No one's given this rule that you can only make one a year. I want to make one for the last 2 months because she had started to feel better. They always tell you with reflux babies, once they sit up, just wait. And sure enough, that was her. Once she was able to sit up and be a little more aware, it started to absolve. And so I was taking more video of her and more photos of them together. And I sat down one day during a rare time when they were both asleep or he was in his room by himself. And I made a video and sent it to music of all these little clips that we had taken together and watched it back and however long they took their nap for. And it sounds just idealistic to say, but it was truly life-changing for me, that 2-hour time span that I took to make that video, because there was this moment of when I was stuck in this dark pit of despair where I felt like I was never going to get out. I was ruining both of their lives. My life was ruined. I always wanted to be a mom, but I never expected it to be this hard. I was able to watch back this video of all the good moments that I chose to record because it definitely wasn't going to record her screaming at 2 a.m. And I was able to see all of the bright things that were happening that I couldn't see when I was stuck. Sometimes we get so stuck in the dark spot that are true and real that we can't see all of the light around us at the same time that's also happening, right? We can be in a really hard spot and also there can be good things happening at the same time. And it allowed me to have this perspective of I'm not the worst person ever. I'm not failing my children. Maybe I am doing okay. And from that moment on, it was like, I'm going to do this every month. And then I would go back and make them from previous months. And I use that as this gratitude journal almost. I know a lot of people like to write out their one line a day or they journal about their month. I'm not a writer. That's never how I've been able to express myself. And so this became this daily practice of gratitude. And then the more I looked for just one thing to record, I started to find 3 and then 5 and then 15. And then I started to seek moments to record. So then we started to get out of the house so we could go to the park and take a video, or we could go to the zoo and take a video. And I started to have more confidence in myself of I can do this and we can go and have a successful outing at the park. We can go to Chick-fil-A together. We can do these things. And it just all snowballed itself into this place of more regulation, more happiness. It was not the only thing. Like I mentioned before, I went to therapy for a very long time and there were other things that came together. We moved and had more family support, but all of those things compiled together to get me to where we are now 8 years later.
And so you catapulted this creative love for this experience and the way that it had helped you move through postpartum mood disorder into a whole business.
Yeah.
Do you want to share about that and what that
Yeah.
looks like?
Yeah, I own a company called Isbell Family Films. We've been in business since 2019. My daughter was born in 2017, so it's just about 2 years later. I was a teacher prior, so in all of that stuff, I was teaching part-time. And when we moved, I had to quit my job and couldn't find another teaching job in the middle of the year. And it came from a lot of push of my husband of, you could do this. People want to pay for this. This is really powerful thing that you could make for yourself. And I was like, oh, I can't do this. I don't know business. I don't have a degree in this. I don't know what I'm doing. And the power of social media just pushed this through. I started it from nothing and then I started pushing it out there to different people on social media and built it. Now we have 700 clients and edit thousands of videos a year. There's a team of 8 of us now because I can't do it by myself. And the full point of the company is not even to edit videos for people. I really hope that it just encourages people to use their phones, use video and photo as a way to see their life from a new perspective, see their motherhood or their parenthood or their grandparenthood from a different lens, no pun intended. I think there's something powerful about being able to record something and then watch it back later and you have a whole new perspective of what you recorded. And so we take all of those videos that people record and we create a modern home movie for them to make them watchable and viewable for them and their families.
That's such a gift for people to have for generations, hopefully, that they can share and pass along and for their kids to see. I know our kids enjoy seeing old videos of when they had teeny tiny voices and were running around in diapers. So do you have, for people who maybe feel like you might have felt at the beginning of, I don't know if I'm any good at this. You have simple tips that you could offer for people who are curious, but maybe a little nervous about how to film, how to get a great moment, things like
Mm.
that.
Yeah, I get this question all the time from our clients of, I don't want to send our content to you because it's just not good or it's not very artistic or very creative. And I always tell people that there's no bar that we have to meet to take videos and photos of our family. It's all good. I don't ever receive content from people and think, oh, this video, well, why would they ever take this? If that moment is special enough for you to pull out your camera and record it, then it's valuable and it's worth remembering. I know we're all mindful of how much time we spend on our devices, so it's all valuable. Practice helps, right? The videos that I started with don't look like the videos that I have now. I found that the more that I record, the more I see things in a different way. And so it allows me to take different kinds of videos or videos from different angles. The way you would take a photo, take a video. So if you think that moment's cute enough to take a photo, take the photo and then take a video really quick afterwards. My kids know that where I'm like, let's take a last day of school picture. They're like, oh yeah, you mean a video too? I get a photo and a video at the same time. Because it is their voices, right? You do want to hear them. Like it brings another depth of the memory to be able to hear them, watch how they move, how they walk. My daughter used to walk with her knees turned in all the time, which caused me anxiety until she figured it out. And so I do have a video of her just the waist down, her running away from me and her knees are going in and she's running away. And she's crazy fast, wants to run track now. I didn't even need to worry about it. But yeah, just those little things that you want to remember, take a quick video of them. I always tell people to record horizontally instead of vertically because yes, when we scroll through Instagram and TikTok, it's vertical, but all of our TVs are horizontal. If you go to the movie theater, it's horizontal. You get more of the picture that way horizontally. That's to me the easiest thing. If I want just one thing to make my memories look next level. That's it. Just rotate your phone sideways. But if you send us vertical video, we love that too.
And if somebody missed out, I'm thinking back to myself as a younger mom and might have missed some sweet moments that I got photo of, but didn't get video of. Could I send some video and some photos and your company might work to put them together? Or does it have to be all video?
Yeah, no, we do it all, photo and video. In fact, I'm working on a video right now for somebody that is 99% photos. We can take anything that's been digitized, GoPro videos, old home movies. I did a couple projects earlier in the year of someone who got all of their home videos from like the 80s digitized, and we put together a 30-minute video of them. Those are always a good perspective too, because when you look back the 80s, the 90s, all this content that you're getting, how much our lives are still the same, how the journey of motherhood is still the same. One video stands out to me in that project of this mom propping up the video camera in the backyard grass so that she could get a video of herself spinning her toddler daughter around. And I was like, gosh, nothing has changed in 40 years. I'm still propping up my video camera to get a video of me with my kids. We just do what we have to do in order to preserve those moments.
So I wanted to just loop back around a little bit to the postpartum depression piece and how you were able to pull yourself through that. So you mentioned that you moved and that there was some more support. There was therapy that you started, but what were the other tools that were really supportive of you at that moment, which maybe then created enough uplift for you to be beyond and be like, oh, I can find something creative that might use a different part of my brain and shift things for me?
Yeah. To get to the point of editing videos, there was no change. I was on medication, but that was in the first 6 months of my daughter's life. And so that was the first step for me, is finding some kind of creative outlet for myself. But as time went on, we moved and we received more family support, which was very helpful. I started my company. I had some purpose outside of being a mother. I was never a great stay-at-home parent. I needed something to do outside of just being a mom every single day. That was really helpful. I started to make friends. It's hard to make friends when your kids are babies. I would always feel so jealous of the people who had this huge community of friends with newborns. that was a really difficult thing for me to be able to find that kind of community. So once my kids started getting older and they were in preschool, that was really helpful. And I actually didn't start therapy until my daughter was 4. That kind of was my last piece. So I went through all of that and I still was really stuck in just the mom rage leftover part of it. I think there's a lot of other circumstances of my own life and my husband's career and my son's disability that made it really difficult to be in a place of not fight or flight all the time. Like I was always ready for something bad to happen. And everything that my kids did was really, and I know this is a buzzword, but it's true for me, that everything was really triggering for me. Like anytime my daughter would wake up in the middle of the night, it would send me in a total panic because it was just so reminiscent of those early days that we had together. Or if my son couldn't communicate something in that moment, it was really upsetting. And so I got to the point where my daughter was 4, where I was like, okay, I've done everything I possibly can do to do this by myself. And now to the point where I can't do this myself anymore. And I think I was far enough away from the stuckness of depression that I was able to be like, okay, now I need more help. And so therapy for me was the last piece.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that and for helping to normalize. I know a lot of people just get scared, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, something's wrong with me. I should be happy. I have this new baby or these 2 little ones, and I should be happy, right? We talk about this sometimes on the show about how there's a lot of pressure in this culture, at least, to be a certain kind of parent, right?
Mm.
Like, you have to have it together and you have to be able to have everything Instagram ready.
Yeah.
And you're always freshly showered and your kids are behaving and well dressed, and that
Right.
whole ridiculous vision of what early parenthood looks like. And we know once we're in it that it's a secret club
Yeah.
that no one really tells you about. Oh, you're going to be such an amazing parent and everything's going to be so great. And you're so happy, aren't you?
Yeah.
And
I'm just the best thing that's ever happened. I love it, but I didn't know.
totally. It's a both and. Yes, I
Yes.
feel so grateful to have this child or these children. And it's really crushing sometimes, especially if you're not sleeping, and like such an important resource to have. And if there's not a lot of support through your friends, family, whomever, it's so challenging to do on your own, especially if your partner is working a lot of hours or you're single parenting or whatever. It's really challenging. So I so appreciate you sharing your journey and helping to normalize this for other parents who are wondering, is something wrong with me? It's
Yeah.
not that something's wrong with you. It's that you're completely underwater, right? You're overwhelmed. This is the hugest task you will ever take on in your life, probably.
Right. So
Yeah.
in fact, that it's not that anything's wrong with you. It's that everything is right. Because I've come to realize that it shouldn't be this hard, but for most of us, it is this hard. And when you don't have the community around you to normalize that it is this hard, then that's when you start to think, why is this so difficult for me? It should not be like this. And I think that when we are able to find that community, if that ever comes to us, because I know that's a massive privilege, then that also is helpful to, like you said, to normalize that. And I hope that for those of us that don't have the family around or the friends around, no, this is okay. This is normal. It's okay that she's crying. It's okay that he's doing this, that they have resources. Like these are great resources, podcasts, YouTube videos, those types of things for people to hear other moms and parents' experiences of this, because that's what we need. We need people in our lives to speak truth and support.
Kalee, can you share how our listeners can find out more about your work and more about you and get in touch with you if they're interested?
Yeah, sure. We have a website, isbellfamilyfilms.com. I'm also really active on Instagram. The same thing, Isbell Family Films. And I answer all the DMs and all the emails. If anyone wants to reach out, that's where you can find me.
Thank you so much for being here, Kalee. I super appreciate it. It's really been nice to speak with you today.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. I loved it.
Thank you so much for listening to the Prepared for Parenthood podcast today. I hope you found this episode educational, informational, and conversational, and that you'll join me again for another episode soon. If you enjoyed listening to today's podcast, I'd very much appreciate if you would rate, review, and subscribe. If you're interested in more information related to today's podcast or are looking for parent coaching or courses, you can find my information in the show notes or online at preparedforparenthood.com.